Today we're going to find out what removing baffles does when you're running your Oklahoma Joe Highland reverse flow. And we're also going to add baffles to see what it does when you're running your Oklahoma Joe regular traditional flow smoker. Guys, welcome back to the channel, Comparison Cooking. My name's Kevin, and I'm really excited for today's experiment because as you've seen in my other videos, I've had all 4 baffle plates in, and 225 hit the mark, but that was like the highest it was getting. I don't think it was allowed to have enough airflow in there. So today I want to see if I remove 1, then 2, then 3, leaving the 4th one in there as a deflector plate for my reverse flow, will that bring the entire temperature up? Will it cause inconsistencies in the flow, in the airflow? These are questions I have. I'm looking forward to getting the answers to. Then we're going to flip the switch and we're going to make this a traditional Highland, Oklahoma Joe traditional Highland, and we're going to start adding baffle plates. We're not going to add too many, probably 2 at the max, but to help distribute that heat so it doesn't just go up and out. Let's get right to it. We are going to start with the 3 panels for the reverse flow. Normally there are 4 panels, all right, 4 baffle plates, but we already know with having all 4 in that we hold temperature at about 225. So I want to start immediately with today's experiment with just 3 panels to see how it does with the reverse flow. So we'll start and we'll run temperatures to see how it's holding up, and then we'll start removing panels in the reverse flow. We'll probably only remove it down to 1, but we'll always keep 1 in here just to see what the temperature does. If you want to see all 4 panels working together, you can always check out the last video I did on this reverse flow versus the traditional flow, and that is where I had all 4 of them in there holding temperature. For this experiment, we're going to keep the probes exactly in the same location. We're just going to remove the baffle plates. As you can see, as we get our charcoal ready, the wind is going to be blowing into the firebox today, so that should help give me that right type of flow. So I might have to damper down my intake vent, but we'll see. And we're just using Kingsford regular charcoal just as a baseline for this experiment. Lump will obviously burn hotter, but this is a good way to just, for everyday smokers that see this in the store all the time, they'll have a good understanding of what briquettes are going to do. Lump, you're going to take it up 25 to 50 degrees if you're using lump charcoal. We're already about 5 minutes into our smoke, and you can already see on the chart that there's a major change in airflow. The side right here is at 216, and back here it's at 261. Now, when we've done these experiments before, this side was at 225 on the grate level. Up here it was 225, and back here it was normally 7 to 12 degrees less. So we've already changed the air dynamics that are happening inside. So what I decided to do is add a piece of apple mini splits. So these are about 6 inches. I find them to be the perfect size for this type of smoker. And what I want to do is when I open up the lid and the smoke is really going, I just threw a piece in. I don't know if you can see, but we're getting a really faint smoke. So it looks like it caught well, and we're getting good smoke because the air is pushing into it. So I might close it down to let it build up a darker smoke. And when we open up this lid, I want to see if more smoke is coming from this side versus an even distribution. Because if we have more smoke in one side, that could be an issue. You don't want smoke building up and lingering in your smoke chamber. You want it to go in, over your food, out the exhaust. We're gonna open this lid. I don't know if there's enough smoke. It's very faint. We're gonna give it a try to see if we see more smoke coming from here or here. So I'm gonna do it quick to see what happens. So that looked pretty normal, but we still have major temperature difference between the 2 probes at grate level there. This dropped down a little, but now it's already coming back up. We're at 274 right now, right here, 224 right here, and up here we're at 225, 228. So it's matching up. These two are matching up, but this one is showing a lot more heat on that side of the chamber. So we're not getting the results I was looking for. I was looking to hopefully bring this temperature up a little, but bring this temperature up a lot more than the 225. So I'm not sure. We're gonna let this run for about another 10 minutes, 15 minutes to see what happens. The wood's burning great, but I don't know if we need to continue this experiment any further because we're moving more and more plates. I don't know, maybe we should give it a try. Let's see what happens. We're 15 minutes later, temperature's starting to slowly come down. We're at 305 in the back here, 260 here, 250 up top. So I don't really love the way this smoker's running right now with removing that final reverse flow baffle plate. But I do want to continue the experiment. We're going to remove one more and just run it for 15 minutes, see what happens, and then we'll switch this all up and go over to a traditional set with one plate, then two plates, and we'll see what happens there. Fast forward mode. Probes in the same spot, two plates here. I'll add a little bit more fuel and let's see what happens. I just added 2 handfuls of briquettes just to replenish fuel, keep the fire going. I'm not starting with a brand new chimney every single time. We're just going to let this roll the way it is and keep adding fuel and keeping underneath the charcoal clear of ash to make sure it's getting that proper airflow. We're gonna do the open lid test real quick again, just to see if there's any more smoke here than there is here, and then I'll shut it. But we're 5 minutes in. We got 245 on the right, 245 up here, and 238 back here. My brain's really in a pretzel right now because this isn't the way it's meant to be set up, with just having the 2 baffle plates here, open space over here, and then reverse flowing here. So let's open it up real quick and see what happens. It's hard to tell. That's obviously not a scientific experiment right there, but if you had your meat right in the middle, would there be enough smoke coming up and over and going out, or would you have an issue with smoke buildup here? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Even though these temperatures are showing to be really close to each other, all of them, I still think I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't know, maybe I would, but I wouldn't feel comfortable running it this way because it's not intended technically to be ran this way. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna wrap up the reverse flow data points experiment right now, but I'm gonna leave the chart up here so we can go over some of the temperatures we experienced while having different setups. So 3 plates, almost the full 4 plate, you know, 3 plus 1 equals 4, almost the full amount, created a huge temperature spike here by 50 degrees. All right, these temperatures remain pretty close the entire experiment, but as you can see, having the 3 plates for some reason just created a really high temperature here, but having the 2 plates created a very even temperature. Now, when you run it the way it comes with 4 plates, we were cruising at 225. You saw that in my last video. 225, that was like the hottest it would get. It would get 225 over here and about 215 to 218 here. So it was close, I like that, but it was really for that low and slow. For a hotter cook, getting that 250, 275, I really like cooking at 275 lately. It's just the temperature that seems to get my barbecue done quickly and still have all that great smoke flavor. So that's my new temperature I like to cook at. I don't know if I want to mess around with this too much. If I'm going low and slow, then maybe do the 4 plates. I'm not completely sure. Leave a comment below whether you think I should let it ride with 2 plates every once in a while to bring that temperature up, or if I should switch it to the traditional model for those hotter cooks. Let's get into our next experiment. Oh, the last thing I want to say about the data points with the chart. When the baffle plate is below the probe, as you can see on the second probe, on the right-hand side here, it has a smoother climb and a smoother decline. There's no peaks and valleys. The probe number 1, that does not have any protection underneath of it, you see a lot more peaks and valleys. Does that affect your barbecue? Probably not. But it's just something to note. I like to try to smooth out this process as much as possible, so I like baffle plates. But that's just some more data to take with you in this experiment. Let's switch it up. We have major temperature difference with just having the 1 baffle plate and having it set up as the Oklahoma Joe Highland traditional model. We're at 260 here, 400 right here at the probe. So the heat is coming up, hitting that plate, and the probe is right over, just hanging over that plate. So that's getting all that heat. So it's 400 degrees down here, and then 266 back here. So let's add that second plate to it to see what happens. With 2 baffle plates in, we have 225 up here. It says 243 down here and 247 right here. I'm not really worried about this probe. I'm worried about the grate level probes when my protein's right there in the mix. And I expected this one to be a little less because we're deflecting the heat from hitting this first, and it's going under the plates, up into the food, and then out the exhaust vent. When it was reverse flow, it went down, out, and then it would still hit this thermometer pretty well. So that's where you'd get an even closer consistency. But this setup right now has this temperature lower than both of these. This is 2 plates. This is a really nice setup. You can see there's a lot of hacks on how to smooth out your temperatures, get them more consistent on the grate level. This is one way to do it. Now let's lift this up. Now where they are, they're almost halfway throughout the chamber. So if I put my food right here, I'm still getting tons of smoke. This is good. When I removed that 1 plate, we were way too hot, so we don't want that. And then this over here is doing a nice job also. A lot smoother than when we had it the reverse flow method. This one, the peaks and valleys were a lot higher. This seems to, on the traditional style, to really smooth it out. Now, I don't want to add a 3rd plate to this experiment because then we'd have to have our food all the way in the back here. I just don't see the purpose of that. Most people will load up. You can still load up your smoker in this method. Some people will, instead of buying the plates, because these plates can be pretty expensive, they will add tin foil up to a certain point. All right, but you want to play with that, because as you can see, if you only add tin foil to a certain level, it's going to create inconsistencies. So there is a sweet spot, and I think we've hit it right here with this dimension. All right, so we got 2 plates in here. We're going almost halfway, but we still have plenty of room for smoke. Even if you put some chicken here, stuff like that, you would still get smoke flavor on it. What does all these data points tell us? It tells us having the right baffle plates or the right hack. You can look it up online. There's tons of Oklahoma Joe Highland hack videos of how to get smoother distribution. But as you can see, with using what Oklahoma products are out there, Oklahoma Joe products that are out there, the 2 baffle plates seem to be the magic number. Actually, in both cases, with the reverse flow, it was very close to both temperature probes, and now in the traditional model, traditional style, we're very close in temperature. So those are very good points to take home when you're thinking about doing your own modification to your Oklahoma Joe. To be honest, I'm still on the fence on how I'm going to run this smoker. I really like the setup in the traditional model like this to get a little bit higher temperatures with 2 baffle plates. But for the reverse flow, I don't know if I feel really comfortable running 2 plates instead of the 4. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are regarding how to run this smoker. I'm still gonna play with it. I'm probably gonna go back to 4 plates for the reverse flow, and then maybe every once in a while I'll play with the 2 plates. But 3 plates, we're not doing that. That just had the temperatures all over the place. 1 plate in the traditional setup, we're not doing that. Major temperature spikes between one probe and the other. So now we know there is a sweet spot of how you should set up your baffle plates. All right, it's not just, hey, I saw this on Facebook, somebody took a picture and they threw something there. You do need to play with it to find that sweet spot that's going to get your temperature consistency a lot better. And that's going to make smoking a lot easier for you. If you guys like this video, make sure to check out these other 2 videos and this playlist so that you can get ahead on your next smoke and really rock the backyard. As always, I hope you all are having a great day, and I'll see you real soon.